Hello everyone and welcome to a new series here on the MyFootballWriter YouTube channel. This is Nodge Spotlight. This is going to be a bit more of a midweek catch-up and discussion about what's happened in the week with Norwich City. And then don't worry, because in the podcast at the weekend, we'll get the other two opinions of the two who missed out. But today you've got myself, Freddie Wakefield and Will Grant. And we're going to be discussing all sorts of things going on in the week so far regarding Norwich City. But first things first, Will, how have you been, mate? Of course, we had the podcast on Monday. It's now Thursday, so we've had a few days and a few bits of news coming out with Norwich City, and then the U team's playing some pre-season friendlies as well. A new kit to come out, which we'll get onto in a second. But how have you been, mate? What's been going on with you?
Yeah, mate, hectic. There's been so many academy games and first team games in this short space of time as well. And when you're like an academy supporter like myself, there's so many games to keep on top of. And they all kick off at the same time as well. So it's been hectic. I've finally getting together some articles and some obviously podcasts and stuff like this as well. So we're back on track. I'm well. How are you, mate?
Yeah, mate, I'm all well and good. No, all the better for seeing you as well. You know, it's always lovely to be doing a video. It's fantastic. Mate. Yeah, let's hope the people enjoy it as much as we are recording it. So we'll have to wait and see on that front. But as I mentioned, new away kit is out. First things first, easy one to get out of the way. It's a phenomenal shirt. It is absolutely gorgeous. I'll make sure to put it in the thumbnail of this video just so everyone can sit there and admire it again. It's gorgeous. An all black shirt, nice yellow trim on the collar and on the sleeve, and it looks as if someone's just got a paintbrush and just splattered it all over the kit. But it's a gorgeous design, isn't it? You know, as Wiz Khalifa said it in his song a few years ago, we're in black and yellow and we're looking absolutely superb in it. I love that kit.
Yeah, no, I like it. My first reaction was, yeah, I thought it was nice, but when I spent £60 on it, I'm not too sure. I'll wait till the third kit. I just think it's crazy as well how kits have now gone from most like £40 to like £60 like that. And you got to, like, for me, I think obviously I'm going to probably get that kit probably come like March or April sometime. But if I'm going to buy that kit immediately, it's got to be 9 out of 10. It's good. Okay, as the famous advert says on a television, it's good, but it's not quite Carling. So it's a 7 out of 10 for me. Yeah, it's nice. I think every team in EFL now plays in black as their away kit as well. So that's all good to see. Nice and tidy, but yeah. It isn't screaming 10 out of 10, but I'll give it a solid 7 or 8.
No, yeah, I won't give it 10. I'll give it a strong 9, though. I think it's lovely. I think Joma have really outdone themselves this season. They've come back with an absolute stormer because last season's kits, if we're going to just talk about them quick, I mean, the home shirt, it grew on me a bit, but Norwich should never really be playing in hoops. I think that's very, very odd. And then the away kit was sort of half decent, a little bit forgettable because I'm actually sort of struggling to remember what the away kit looked like. I don't think we wore it all that often, but you have the third kit as well, that red cabbage one. I thought that one was all right. I ended up buying that one. I didn't think that one was too bad, but I think so far what we've seen this season is, you know, it's head and shoulders above last season's. Of course, you want to like it because your team are going to be wearing it every week, and hopefully the players like it as well because they're the ones who are at the forefront of wearing it. I certainly hope they like it.
Yeah, that home kit reminded me of Croatia in a sense of just how generic like the patterns were. I think every team, as I said earlier, actually in the EFL has gone for like stripes in their time before, and it just felt like quite a lazy design. But I think maybe with kits it comes down to a lot of like recency bias. So you'll see kit like next to each other, and you'll see like this year's kit and last year's kit, and you'll see, gosh, that one is so much better because it's new and stuff like that. But to be fair, I've bought like Norwich home kits, I'd probably say, for about 5-6 years running, and actually in fact last year's was I didn't actually buy, so maybe that says quite a lot already. But I can't think of a away kit right now either, to be fair, last year. So that just shows that it wasn't used very often.
No, I know. I remember it was the all green one, wasn't it? The
yes, that's the one. Yeah, that
actually was quite.
It wasn't too bad, was it? It wasn't too bad.
Thinking back, it was actually quite nice. But I genuinely can't remember us wearing it apart from pre-season.
No. I want to say, was that no. Holloway, perhaps?
No, we wore the home kit at Hull.
Oh, did we?
Yeah,
Mate, that's
we wore
quite
the
weird,
home
isn't
kit.
it? That's quite weird. Normally, it's Hull and Norwich kind of use away kits each leg, but that's quite surprising. Yeah, I can't even think of it either. So if you do, guys, let us know in the comments.
Yeah, exactly. If you can remember that green kit being worn natural league game, then you got a much better memory than us two. And we're the ones who've got to try and remember all the stuff for when we discuss it. But from what I remember, that was in pre-season against Kings Lynn, maybe, and then I don't think we ever wore it again. But anyway, we're not going to delve too much further into that and end up down a kit loophole. But because there's other things to talk about, and one of them straight away is Norwich City have got a brand new set piece coach after Andy Hughes left to go join the backroom staff at Leicester in their sort of revamp. And the Norwich one continues with Nick Stanley appointed from Brighton and Hove Albion. Looks a decent appointment on paper. Of course, Brighton you associate with great football and everything like that. But their set pieces, you look at the statistics, and they're not exactly the best. They had the second worst amount of goals conceded from set pieces. I think they had the lowest amount of goals scored in the Premier League from set pieces as well. But then you factor in that they actually have the shortest team on average in the Premier League as well. So then again, you don't expect short players to score from corners and free kicks maybe as well. But Norwich seem to rarely score set pieces anyway. But what do you make of that appointment? A new set piece coach, albeit his recent record isn't necessarily the best, but I mean, only about 3% of all set pieces in a season end up in the back of the net anyway. So it's nothing really that is too exciting or disappointing, really.
Yeah, I think with this one for me is I'm more interested in Ben Napper. I think throughout the summer he showcased his quality and knowledge to recruit the right people. And I think this applies to this situation actually. Yeah, as you said also about Brighton and their set pieces, I think yes, a lot of context has to be applied to that. But if Ben Napper thinks that that's the right fit, then I'm more than happy with it. But funny you say that. Last season, actually, Norwich scored 18 times from set pieces, and only Ipswich and Cardiff scored more. So that just goes to show how well Andy Hughes actually did from set pieces. I can't for the life of me actually remember about 5 of those set pieces on top of my head, but they all count. And I think we were one of the highest scoring teams in the league last year as well. So fair play to Hughes in that regard, and I hope that Stanley can live up to that expectation.
No, well, let's certainly hope so. I hope his track record sort of is flipped on his head when he comes to Norwich and we see some inventive corner routines or free kick routines. We'll have to just wait and see on that one. But, well, a game where we could be seeing it is tomorrow from when we're recording this video. Norwich City play Magdeburg on Friday evening, a 6:45 kickoff, an odd time, but playing it at Carrow Road in front of the fans, which will be great to see. The first game at Carrow Road under the Johannes Hoff Thorup era, and playing against a team in the German second division. So again, a bit of a decent test for Norwich City, hopefully one where they can get a lot of minutes in the legs, much needed sharpness in some players, and we see some who haven't featured just yet. Cordoba, Sargent and Gunn spring to mind straight away, of quite a few probably who haven't come back and made their first appearances back, but a good test for them hopefully, and one where we see the style of play continue to be developed and these players doing it well, because the season is only about 2 weeks away now.
Yeah, I think there's still so much to find out about this Norwich side ahead of the new season. We actually spoke before the recording with Freddie about the holes that need to be fitted in already. Look, I think some of them are out of our control. For instance, the Canador situation. I think Norwich desperately need to hit him in quickly, because it feels very unideal for him to be thrown in at the deep end away at Oxford straight away. So maybe they might try and keep this with Montoya. I'm all for that, as I said last podcast, really as well. Yeah, as I say, many more things to learn. I still think we need to speak about and learn about the youth centre halves. Obviously, we've still got the contingent of Tomkinson, Adabiega, Warner, and Hills all in the building as well. So I think now is a time where we start to see maybe some names getting streamlined a bit. Obviously, we saw Tomkinson actually dropped down to the under-21s. I don't know how much that's got to do with it, but I think it definitely like says something there. I think one of the points I actually want to see, I know it's going to be difficult as well because you've got the likes of Hanley, Cordoba, and maybe actually Duffy as well. I think Duffy might be like involved. I don't know the team exactly in terms of like his availability, but I think we do need to see Hills and Warner actually play together as well. I think we need to see some more sample minutes of those two playing together because I feel like, as I said, all like throughout pre-season, really, I've said that I think only once and a half will probably actually play next season for the first team. I think the rest will probably go out on loan, and that is still absolutely superb for their careers, especially if it's like League One or above as well. So, yeah, I think I want to see Brad Hills and Warner actually play together. I think the competition is still open, but it does definitely feel like that Brad Hills is getting more like momentum from the fan base and actually internally as well. So that's all good to see. Also, I think from a tactical perspective, I want to see Norwich maybe play a bit bolder out of possession. I think in the last two games against Bruges and Liège, there's like a lot of context to apply. I think the game against Liège was about 30-degree heat, so obviously it's quite hard to perform a perfect press in those conditions as well. So I just think during those games we kind of like a little bit too deep, but I think that still needs to be learned about how we kind of impose ourselves out of possession, because I feel like the Championship is such an intense league and Norwich are going to have to be sharp in that regard. So I think when I don't know the exact temperatures on Friday evening, but I don't expect it to be anywhere near the temperatures in Liège. So hopefully we get to see better rhythms in that regard. But who knows? Norwich might just like sitting deep, but I can't imagine that's the case anyway. So yeah, also as well as you said, Freddie, as well, I want to see the likes of Cordoba get minutes, Sargent and Liam Gibbs as well. And we were also saying before we actually went on air, if you will, that I kind of want to see someone take Sarah's responsibility as well, because I feel like across the pre-season we've seen Gabriel Sarah have like such a big influence on Nodge in possession throughout pre-season. So I think if someone can showcase like their ability to kind of replace him in some way when he's on the pitch, I think that's going to be very, very healthy for the team, because obviously Sarah's got a good chance of leaving the summer still as well. And I think if we can still try and inherit a good style of play without Sarah at the club, that go a long way to our success this season, because he's so crucial on the ball for us. I know obviously Front might actually have some better idea about Sarah's future, so maybe he's building it around him because he knows he's going to stay. Who knows? But I definitely think it's going to be proactive to see the likes of maybe Liam Gibbs, Kenny McLean, Nunes actually be used in that deeper position, because it feels like it could easily change momentum quickly.
No, definitely can. And you would like to think someone can take that Sarah role and do it well. That's ultimately what this whole project is about. It's about players having good intelligence and being able to play in these different positions and work in different roles against different oppositions. So you'd like to think that a few of these players are being coached how to do that in the inevitability, but the potential inevitability of a big sale. Gabriel Sarah could be that player. We don't know as of yet. There's been no real sort of news on that front, but it would be good to have that, and especially as a youth player as well. I don't know how many times we're going to be saying about how a Johannes Hoff Thorup side is based around youth, and that's his philosophy. So you would like to think it'd be a young player. It would be good to see a player like Liam Gibbs, as you mentioned, who really hasn't had too much opportunities to kick on. He did sort of the start of 2 seasons ago under Dean Smith, where he did look very promising, but then he got a nasty injury at Sunderland, and that halted his progress and it halted his game time. He barely played last season, had a handful of substitute appearances where he didn't really impress too much. So hopefully, if that does become his time to shine, he can do it well. You'd always want to see your young players do well and play and improve themselves and become better players and make themselves a focal point of the team. But that's something that we could see against Magdeburg. Maybe the team is sort of switched up, maybe, and we'll see what happens with that sort of come 5:45 tomorrow evening, and everyone will have a quick look at it and discuss it. But talk about players, and how they're already looking like focal points, as you said, with Sarah. Really, is he one that in your sort of list of people who have impressed you maybe so far of pre-season? Maybe if you had to give like a top 3 maybe, or even if you wanted to go a bit further down than that and maybe give some honourable mentions potentially, if there's that many that have impressed you, who has stood out for yourself really in this pre-season and you think could really go on to be a big key player in this side over the next few months of the coming season?
Yeah, I think Sarah's been brilliant. I think maybe at times he's been a bit sloppy on the ball, but I think that's probably just like the sharpness of pre-season. So yeah, I think Sarah's been superb. But I think if I was to number top 3, I definitely would add Callum Fisher on that list. I think he's been so sharp. Actually, like last year as well, I think he played really well as well. So yeah, I think the thing with Fisher, what I'm so impressive is he's played in so many like different positions. I think he's played as a left back, a right back, and like an inverted midfielder as well, or like a right centre midfielder. So I think he's done ever so well in that regard. He's wanting the ball in deep areas, dangerous areas, and he wants to try and play in a half turn and get the team moving quite quickly on the ball. And I think that's probably one of his biggest strengths actually this season. I felt, or pre-season, sorry, so far, is that I've kind of felt that Fisher's intensity on the ball and ball speed has been superb. I think he's trying to increase the tempo of the game, and I think that's why Thorup likes him so much as well. Obviously, Brad Hills has been superb as well. He looks so composed on the ball actually as well. I think the Northampton game, he was very, very good on the ball. And then if you speak about the Belgian leg of pre-season, I felt the game against Club Brugge, against a tough opponent in a player called Nusa, who's got quite a lot of European pedigree as well, and the way he managed to nullify him, I thought was superb as well. So, excuse me. So, yeah, I thought Hills was superb throughout pre-season, but I still feel definitely that I think there's still competition in that area, and I thought also, I think Warner's been good as well. I think the game against Club Brugge, I thought was excellent actually in the first half. I think the way he managed to break up the play and clear his lines was very commendable, and he also looked to try and aggressive play on the ball as well. So I thought Warner was a very, very good stand-up player throughout that game. But I think the main one actually for me is Borja Signs. He looks so incredibly sharp. He's finding pockets regularly, and he's exploiting gaps of space superbly as well. I think everyone knows about Borja Signs' pace and his ability to like progress the team forward. I think that is there in abundance, really. So, but also what I noticed throughout Borja Signs this pre-season has been like his off the ball movements, as I touched on last week. He's very, very switched on tactically, I feel, as well. And as well as that, I think he's actually showcased his ability to switch the play as well. So I think he's got a very good proactive mindset. And I think you can tell, I think Thorup actually mentioned during a press conference or the fans forum actually.
Sorry, mate, you've muted your microphone. That'll be why nothing was coming out.
Where was I?
I can't remember. I honestly, yeah, just going on about
Borja Signs, yeah?
Yeah, Borja Signs, there we go. Yeah, Borja
Signs, yeah. So I'll just say, I think he's been absolutely exceptional. The way he's managed to, the way he's managed to bring the play forward has been superb. I think with Borja Signs, we all associate him with his speed and the way he's actually switched on tactically. I think the way he's managing to find pockets of space is superb, and I think it's definitely a player that is very switched on in his own game right now, and he wants to succeed in yellow and green. He's also got great tenacity out position as well. So I think it's definitely a player that Thorup can work with, as he's so astute technically and tactically as well, and defensively as well. So very, very encouraged by Borja Signs. I think the way he needs to improve is probably better end product quality, but I think the intent is definitely there to try and switch the play and be an effective resource. Did you hear my Callum Fisher?
No, I think that just about cut out before. I know when you started on Callum Fisher, talking about how he's played left back, right back, and inverted midfield. So no, we got all of your Callum Fisher points. It was just on Borja where you
just on Borja. That's
a bit of a slip of the finger on the mute button. But no, it's all good.
I think that's correct. The joys of working technically. Technically or like technological. I can't say the word. Technological. I can't say the word. Help me out.
That's right.
Technologically. There we go.
There we go. Yeah. No, it's all right. No, that's all good. No, saying some very, very good points. In the end, we got to hear them all. But Yeah, players, I mean, who for myself have really impressed. I mean, if I had to give a top three, I'd say players you've already named, and I can't really add much more as to what you've said. I'd put in Fisher, Sainz, and Hills. I think they've been all absolutely exceptional. I mean, Sainz looks revamped, playing in a left centre mid role where he's having a lot more of the ball. I mean, as you've already mentioned, we know his qualities on the ball and off it, and of course scored a lovely goal against Liège where he played more as a winger in a natural position where we already know how good he can be when he cuts in on the inside and can make plenty of chances and score some wonderful goals along the way as well. So I think he's been absolutely brilliant. Of course, impressed with Fisher, a young player who was running the show against Northampton in midfield, even given the captain's armband, and he just looked so composed, just like he'd always been there. And then even a right back and a left back, sort of a more natural position for him, where, as you already mentioned, he was performing well in cup games last season. This is a player with a lot of promise who, again, playing National League youth football like 2 seasons ago. He's still ever so young and he's got so much potential behind him and he can really go and crack on. And if Jack Stacey does get a slight knock or something, Fisher maybe wouldn't be a bad replacement for that, where you can have him play in the system and he's most likely going to be coached well to play it well. Maybe we'll get some academy minutes over the season as well, who knows. But Brad Hills, I mean, we've got some player here. We really have got some player here. The player who is yet to play a single first team minute for Norwich, played almost every game for Accrington Stanley last season, ended up captain at 19 and 20 years old as an on loan player. I mean, and won their fans player of the season. I mean, this kid is ridiculous. He looks so composed. He looks a natural already at such a young age. And no, he could, for me, this could be the lad who ends up being a most improved really over the season. I think he's phenomenal. He looks absolutely phenomenal so far, and I really hope it works for him and he gets a lot of first team minutes. Of course, as you already mentioned earlier, there's so much competition in the centre half areas, even just with young players. Even in the first team, there's Cordoba, who's new in and most likely will be playing a lot of games. There's Hanley, Duffy, now Hills is coming into the mix. There's 4 players straight away there who can evidently be very good. There's no question about it. So it's going to be a bit of a headache for Thorup in who he's going to try and bring in. But if I were to give an honourable mention straight away, I'd chuck in Montoya. He's the only left back Norwich have got at the minute, and he's come in and looked very, very sharp. He's a player who goes straight in for tackles. He doesn't stand off his man like a typical fullback. He is wanting to attack defensively and even going forward, albeit that sort of won't really be a feature of a left back in a Thorup team. They sort of more become a third centre half, if you will. But with his defensive capabilities, he has the potential to do very well in that. And I'd imagine a lot of his defending is going to be out wide if we're being stretched maybe and it becomes a back 4 out of possession. But again, that's completely dependent on who you play and how they play against you. But for me, those are the 4 that have really stood out for me. And I really hope they get a lot of first team minutes. But well, with 2 of them being youngsters, of course, you mentioned about the under-21s have had a few sort of drop down from first team minutes to going into the academy. Of course, they played Wroxham in midweek, ended up winning 3-0. And there was a few players in there that seemed to have dropped down. You have John Tomkinson, who had a bit of an involvement in pre-season in the Belgium tour. Araya Jeje, who was started that game where he played against Northampton. And a lot of people were excited about him and his ball-playing abilities and how good he looked in defensive midfield. Ken Abbo was in there, of course, scored against Northampton and had a lot of minutes with the first team, but he ended up playing for the academy. Some other more familiar names in there to people who've read your articles and know about the youth. You've got Elliot Miles, Errol Mundle-Smith, Dan Aguero, even you have Gabe Forsyth was on the bench for that one, and he's a player, again, who's got a lot of first team minutes. But what did you make of that? What are your takes on that with a few sort of names we've seen and become a little bit familiar with at the start of pre-season, but now it looks as if maybe they are going to be having a bit more academy football than some may would have hoped they didn't, especially in the case of Ken Abbo, really?
Yeah, no, I thought they were really good against Wroxham, actually. I felt definitely the game against Goulston, it was definitely a very much pre-season encounter. they weren't very progressive on the ball that game, I felt, but I think the Wroxham game they stepped up a notch there, definitely. I think the use of the likes of Tomkinson, Shipley, for side Elliot Miles definitely helped the team better on the ball progressively. Yeah, definitely a level up in performance, really. But yeah, I think the names you mentioned there, the likes of Boa, Tomkinson, Shipley, etc. I think in those kind of brand of names, I would expect those to go out on loan now. I think, although I don't want to read too much into it because it could be completely wrong and there might be like a different reason behind it, but it felt that those players that were with the under 21s that game, it felt like that far pursuing like enough of them to suggest that they need a loan move. And yeah, that isn't a bad thing at all, really. Because I actually think as well, those players all do need loan moves. So that is encouraging to see. And obviously you've got the more younger crop players, you've got the likes of Elliot Miles, Gabe Forsyth, etc. And I expect them to be more with the 21s team this season. I have seen a few people suggesting that Uriah Judge should go out on loan. I think it's a bit too early for that just yet. I think he needs to become much better on the ball more consistently. I think the game against Wroxham, yes, he showed really good intent on the ball, but still a bit inaccurate at times. And obviously, yeah, I just think he needs to become a bit more streetwise and sense danger a bit better than what he has done. But very, very good talent for sure. Yes, you got the likes of as well, Gabe Forsyth, quality player. I think he'll definitely be a player that's going to look to try and put himself forward for the first team, especially when you've got nine subs on a bench this season as well. So very, very good talent in that regard. I just do think that Kenneth Bowen, he actually scored a lovely goal against Wroxham as well. Weak finish as well, and his weak foot finishing has actually probably been one of his best strengths actually throughout the whole last 12 months anyway. So that's all good and encouraging, really. But yeah, very excited to see what's going to be in store for the youngsters this season. And obviously you've got the likes of Aidan Manning, Reneke, Welsh, Hills, Warner. You look like they're still impressive with the first team, and they're going to get more minutes against Magdeburg.
Yeah, no, we'll have to wait and see. Again, that is all a case of we're going to have a look at that lineup, and you'd imagine that there's going to be a lot of changes. You'd certainly hope so anyway. As a pre-season game, you make loads of changes at half time, and you see sort of who gets more of a run out. But we'll have to wait and see for that and who Thorup goes with. But there you have it. There has been all of your midweek catch-up for this week. Hopefully, we'll be able to bring it to you next week. Of course, we'll have the podcast at the weekend where we can discuss these a little bit more in depth with the other two, Henry and Jack. So, of course, make sure to keep your eyes and ears peeled for that one over the weekend. But there you go. There's all of your midweek catch-up and our big talking points for this week regarding Norwich City on the first episode of Nodge Spotlight here on the MyFootballWriter YouTube channel. I've been Freddie Humphrey Wakefield. He has been Will Grant. And we'll hope to see you again very soon here on the MyFootballWriter YouTube channel. It is goodbye for now, and we'll see you again very soon.